Hey everybody, welcome back to the Caves Cast podcast. I'm Jeremy,
And I'm right.
and we're gonna go over like the last 2 weeks worth of books.
Yes.
Um, I haven't looked at any news. I'll do that right now. There's just like a constant stream of good stuff every week now that it's kind of hard to really pick. Sometimes it's hard to weed out like what I really want to talk about. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I guess the elephant in the room is the crossover that we're getting.
Oh yeah. Batman Deadpool crossover. So yeah, I guess that's a big one. So for the DC side of it, Batman Deadpool, it's Grant Morrison, Dan Mora, which phew, they worked together before on Klaus.
Yeah, which is
So
great.
that was a really great series.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so they're teaming up again for that book. It'll be cool to see Grant tackle the third or the fourth wall aspect with Deadpool and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have a lot of fun with that. And I also think he's gonna play into like the LGBT-ness of Deadpool a little bit, like with jokes and stuff wise.
Mm. I
Grant
could see
Morrison.
that being the case.
Yeah, Grant Morrison tends to do that.
Right. I could see that being the case. Um, and then
The Marvel side is
it's Zeb Wells, right?
Zeb Wells and Greg Capullo. At least we're gonna get cool art.
I mean, yeah, but it's kind of garbage writer, dude.
It's like, yeah, and it's like, I mean, who knows? Hopefully, he's not on this. Like, I feel like he was kind of trolling a little bit with Spider-Man. He was trolling us a little bit. I don't know, because Hellions is like praised, right? And like other
You're right.
works
I've
of
heard
his are
that too.
praised. Other works of his are praised. I feel like he was just kind of maybe was getting death threats from people and was just kind of trolling with Spider-Man. I don't know.
Hope so, man, because it's just Spider-Man's not good.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how I feel about Batman being in the hands of Zeb Wells either, but I guess
That is also true. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
mhm.
Could be like the worst Batman we've read in a long time.
It could very well
Would
be.
be worse than Hattush.
Oh, oh, it could
All right,
be.
let's just get into it. Let's go. Start with Absolute Flash, number 3.
Dude, this was so good.
Dude, it was crazy. There was a lot that happened, but it read so fast, dude.
Yeah, I think that was
Like,
the point. Yeah,
so it just kind of opens up with like the kind of like retelling the events of the accident, but it's reframed in this way where it's like Wally's thinking about it and it's like important moments kind of thing.
yeah,
And it's like he's talking about, he's running and it feels like he's being chased. And it's like there's like these flashes of like Barry, like kind of stuck behind him where he thinks that Barry's like trapped in the Speed Force, like somehow connects to this accident more than just he died. So
right,
it's like his spirit or something is like trapped, and every time Wally runs, he's seeing it. It's almost like a ghost trying to catch him.
right.
I uh I don't know. I kind of like this idea where it reflects the main DC relationship with Wally and Barry, and like it's kind of a twisted like reflection of it because you have like a mentor and his mentee who never really got to be anything like that.
Right.
And to see how like the accident affects Wally, but like he's haunted by his mentor, you know, and like because of his death, and it kind of reflects the same way with like when Barry dies in Crisis,
Yeah,
and Wally steps into the boots of the Flash, and he's like constantly doubting himself and constantly like talking about just how he's not Barry.
right.
So like it's a more almost like a more like literal than it is like this character archetype where he feels, like that, the hero feels inadequate because the leg, he's just a legacy. He can't live up to the original, and so he has this like, you know, it's this shadow that looms over him. But in this instance, it's like he's haunted by the death of his mentor, and it's chasing him in a way that he either has to just accept it or outrun it.
Right. Well, the way he puts it is that every time he runs, it's Barry dies in slow, agonizing motion,
Mhm.
dragged behind me. Like, like every time he runs, he feels like Barry's being like dragged and pulled
Yeah,
and
and then he like does like
body
the first three
horror.
pages, and then he's like just you hear Wally, like, you hear somebody screams Wally's name off panel, and it's that
Yeah.
so cool, man.
Yeah. Like, what? Because isn't that like, hold on. Isn't like, yeah, it's just crazy how like they're wearing similar, like the suits, right? Like the
Yeah,
suits.
so that's what I'm saying. Like, so maybe he is seeing the ghost of Barry, but then again, like we don't even know because we know Reverse Flash is coming.
Well, the thing that gets me is if you go to the first page, it says like moments of connection. It says, I have just connected with Barry. I have just killed Barry.
Mhm.
So it makes me just continue thinking that like there's a two worlds thing going on.
Right, and they keep and they I mean that's been the title of this arc, and
Yeah.
I think that'll probably be a pretty good that's a pretty good guess, I would say, as far as like how some of these things are playing out.
Like
But
one world he dies, one world and probably the same with Wally of that world. And
right. But yeah, I don't know. I with Reverse Flash coming, do you think Barry is off the table in terms of being a Reverse Flash, or do you think this kind of ups the odds a little bit?
I think it could up the odds because I mean we don't know because we don't know if it's like the Speed Force yet, right?
Well, there
But
is no Speed Force.
right, so we don't know what this is. So obviously it has a potential to go through time. So it wouldn't surprise me that if there's a Barry that got lost in time, that he could come back at any point as evil.
Yeah, like or like or it's this one. The main. I don't know. I just think the idea that you have this really messed up version of their relationship where Barry was just trying to help Wally, but then this accident happens and Wally killed him, but he
Yeah.
didn't. But he has this like if he is being dragged behind Wally every time he runs and then he stops and he sees him and he keeps running, I have to imagine like if there is anything left of Barry in there other than just dead husk, they'll
Yeah.
probably be pretty pissed
Right.
and can motivate him to be the Reverse Flash. I don't know. I'm just shots in the dark here. I think like that's what's like fun about these absolute books is it's just
Yeah.
kind of like the
Because
Wild West.
likewise, we have an awesome Grodd that's just like the
That
cutest.
too, yeah. And we haven't even
Ninja.
gotten into that yet. We've been talking about Barry. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Because
it's like
in
him
my
and Grodd.
opinion, Grodd's a star of this issue, dude. Like,
Yes, dude.
you
So
know,
like when him and Grodd like first connect,
dude, yes. And like
I
it's cool because like not only can he see everything Wally's going through, but Wally could see like him
yes,
experiment.
it's a two-way street.
Yeah, so he could see like, Grodd being experimented on and probably being treated pretty cruel,
Mhm.
So it's like instant understanding and instant like empathy with each other.
Yeah,
Like
and I
it's
really like that's what I like the most about it is it's like this even though they can't communicate verbally like mentally because of Grodd, you know, there's this like found family, like we're the same even if we're different kind of.
yeah, I mean, because it even says like moments of connection number three, mom,
Mhm.
and it shows like him as like a little baby chimpanzee or whatever,
Yeah.
with his mom, and then Wally with his, and I'm like, man, and but then at the bottom of his, like it shows like their tragedy where it's like, where Wally loses his mom,
Hmm.
and then where, like Grodd's being experimented on,
Yep.
probably taken away, and we see that his mom was killed when he was taken away from her.
Right.
So it's like, and to like get this instant understanding and connection, it's so cool. It reminds me of Why the Last Man, it reminds me of We Three with the way he talks verbally. It's like, dude,
Don't
it's
kill
like,
Grodd.
no, you better not.
Don't kill baby
No,
Grodd.
nope, nope. Grodd is better be protected.
Not sweet blue Grodd.
No, no, because he like I'm loving that like we have a Wally with like a companion that it's going to be really cool to see when Wally goes through things. Like Wally can't really hide his thoughts from Grodd, like there's no
Right.
hiding. Like,
Oh shoot. Which kind of like plays into this next couple of pages because like when the rogues are chasing them and Wally starts to lose control again of his powers,
yeah.
Grodd is instantly able to calm him down and kind
Hmm.
of gives him enough focus to run away and figure it out, and Grodd does what he needs to do.
Right. And
But
it's really cool because you get Wally and Grodd, Grodd and Wally, and it's like, and then seeing like Captain Cole being like, the monkey's gone rogue.
yeah, and then they all then there's just like a fight ensues. I like
Yeah.
how Captain Boomerang this whole time is just getting kind of like digged on, and then he takes this shot to the face from line. I'm like, all right, sick.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's pretty cool, dude. Like this art is really good right here. I'm loving like
yeah,
these like
dude.
high kinetic battle art, that Nick Robles is pulling off here. He's killing it. He's killing it.
And then there's like last couple pages right here where
Yeah, and you even see like, to protect Wally, you can see he's just like, Wally, just go. And then he's like, no, we go together.
yeah, and then he just swings by and picks up the suit off Barry's body, and
Yep.
the final page is running with it on.
Right. Which makes me wonder, like, I don't know, I feel like something's up with that suit. Like that
I
we
don't know.
don't
We'll see what happens. Yeah.
I don't know. Great issue. If they're, the first two issues were great, but this is the one that just sunk its hooks into me. Like
I mean,
it got
honestly, yeah. There were, like the first few pages were a hook for sure.
yeah, like this is like I'm forever on this now, It's not like Simon Spurrier's run where I'm like continually trying
No,
to get it.
Spurs flag. What's next?
We want to talk. Let's talk Hulk because I feel like Philip Kennedy Johnson added a lot of like not a lot, but like a bit of lore to Asgard with
Uh-huh.
like Hannah.
I could. I mean, he was on my short list for Thor before Ewing took over.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to ask you. How do you feel about that? Where it's like they're tying
First
like
off,
Hannah to yeah, dude.
great
Oh,
wraparound cover, dude.
I got the comic box of that too.
Oh, I think I might actually have it also.
Yeah,
Maybe, maybe.
yeah. I
We'll
have
see.
the comic box of that, so I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
I
tight, dude.
have to. I have to
It's
get
really
that.
sick.
Um,
Um, sorry, what was your question again?
I was gonna say, like, how do you feel about like him tying this? It just seems like I love it, but it seems just so out of left field that he would tie this Lycana thing that's in like,
Well, I mean, think
the
about it this way.
the
Like
South,
it
and it's connected now to Asgard, and it's like
when you put it that way, it's a bit of a stretch, you know. But you also think of it like Kana and the other like wolf demon god that came out of the ground like 2 issues ago or whatever. They're ancient, you know what I mean? Like, and if Thor has been on Earth
yeah, that's true.
for X amount of thousands of years or whatever, he's bound to have ran into them at some point.
Mhm.
And he's not really one to shy away from a fight with a monster. And if they've somehow trespassed into one of the other realms and they've come across Thor, it's a brawl. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it actually makes sense in a way because, if they're from the mother of horrors, with the one above all, and then she spawned these things, why wouldn't they be able to go to other realms? And
Right. And then you think about how like Thor at this point is kind of like you know, a pretty big player in terms of universal balance because he's the All Father. So he has a lot of responsibility, a lot of power they didn't have before.
right.
So, I don't know.
And this whole like beginning page is crazy too, where like the raven like falls, lands, and like starts
Yeah,
pecking
I
him.
really like this first few pages because like the like kind of like poetry.
Yeah. I'm like, this is really cool. Like,
Yeah. And it
oh,
tells you like the legend of
mhm.
like, and I like how there's no dialogue, especially this
Right.
page where like the bird is eating out of like the guy.
Hmm.
I'm like,
It's it. This is some beautiful Nick Klein art, dude.
oh, I
Like,
know, dude, it's so sick.
like man, it just looks like a great Thor book from the beginning of it. And then you're like, oh, it's Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, and then Charlie and Hulk are coming off the back of the fight with eldest what's her face? Ugh, Lycana's sister.
Yeah, I forgot her name. Um,
Yeah. So they had that fight with Brawl like that. They had that huge old brawl, and then Banner got he. Where did they put him?
Banner.
Oh, it was like a room that he couldn't transform into.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, it was like there was a spell that was in place that wouldn't let him transform. But then the skinwalkers that were in there ate him up, and then they left, and they made that was the mistake they made because they left, and he's immortal.
Right.
So, and it's like in Immortal Hulk, if even if you have a piece of him and he turns into the Hulk, it's gonna regrow. Like they're all gonna form back together,
Yeah.
which was really sick, by the way. It was so
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, so this is like the aftermath of that fight because Clea was possessed, and it was like a whole thing. But Thor like is not really here for like any funny business. He's here to collect this, like the skin, or like even collect Charlie's body in the process if he needs to.
But
So.
it's like I don't know. I just don't believe that like Thor would harm a child, you know? Like
And and like the whole issue is kind of like he's just convinced that because it's a skinwalker, it's not really her. You know what I mean?
right.
Like he's so convinced that it really is just Val Raven,
Yeah,
but it's not. So like the whole fight ensues. And I honestly feel like this fight between them was better than all 6 issues of Banner of War.
pretty much.
Like not to be a dick, but like
Pretty much.
it was
Oh,
good. It was a
because
good
let's
thing
be
with
real,
the
it was Spaceship Hulk. It
yeah.
was
Dude, like and then like back to like the music, like the poetry stuff.
yeah,
With all of the scenes of the fighting are so cool, dude.
yeah, in like the Nordic type font and
Yeah,
stuff.
like and when he sends Hulk like into the ocean and
Hmm.
opens it up and then closes it again, I'm like, damn, that's tight.
Yeah.
That was just a really, really good issue because it's like the fight is just going on. And it's like most of the issue is the fight, and it's like
Hmm.
this is really like jam-packed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
like Charlie comes in and she transforms and she starts fighting Thor, and Thor's about to get knocked out. Warriors 3 and Sif walk in and it's like this whole thing. And then it eventually ends with them kind of like coming to terms with each other, like, hey, I really am a girl, but I have the skin and we're trying to use it to be better.
yeah.
And he's like, all right, well, whatever you say, I guess. Thor kind of like lets it go. But then Leah does not let it go. So she hires Buck Barnes.
Hmm.
The Revolution, I think, is his name now. It's like his superhero code name. But yeah, the Revolution, which I don't really like. I think that's kind of weird, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're gonna be setting this up in Thunderbolts too,
Are they?
or New Avengers. Sorry,
Oh,
the New
really?
Avengers book that was the Thunderbolts book before the movie changed. Yeah, I don't know, but then you've got Winter Soldier coming back, like for the next couple issues in Hulk. So, which I'm interested to see if Anthony Johnson is gonna tie it to Helverine,
Oh,
Helverine, Hell Hunters.
oh, Hunter. I imagine he will. I imagine that's why he's bringing him in here. Like,
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how he connects those two.
it would be cool to bring back Sal too. You know,
Yeah, that would be tight.
bring
Well,
the
like I had read something about how that book is not like entirely over. He doesn't want it to be over. Like there's more stories he wants to tell.
I hope so. I'll get a volume two of Hellhunters. It was fun. It was a lot of
Oh,
fun.
this is a great book.
It's just
Um,
Kennedy Johnson just, having fun killing Nazis with amazing characters. It's fun as hell.
I just want this cover, dude, for Ultimates. It's crazy, dude.
That is who did that one?
Uh, in Wheat, but it's
Okay, I was about to ask if it was in Hercules.
um. I mean, honestly, for the most part, we can pretty much breeze through this because it's just
Dude.
it opens up with like Fury talking to somebody. We don't know who it is yet, but then we flash back to the Ultimates and they're viewing the footage of what they think is like the previous timeline that doesn't exist because it was altered by Doom. But that's not the case. Like this actually happened.
Right.
So it's kind of like they were a bit deceitful. But yeah, so like Doom and Tony are at odds, and he finally says like, "I'm going to show them whether you want me to or not." So he shows them the whole thing, and then some of them are there, some of them are via, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
ultimate Zoom. I have no idea. Uh, and it's created like a divergent timeline, it seems, right? Like
Yeah.
which is weird because you have all these like things with time travel in this universe because of the issue with the Guardians of the Galaxy and how like there's points of hard time, but you can't like break through it. You can't access it. So like if you if I guess if you take that concept and those are things that you cannot change, why is this a moment in time that you can change? Like, why is this considered soft time as opposed to hard time? And is it because the maker's not present?
I think it's just because of the Mortis engine. Because remember they
Do you
talked
think
about
it's, do you think that's the potential, like that's what can override hard time? And maybe this was a point of hard
yeah,
time
I mean
before?
that's what remember the first few issues were talking about like we have to be really careful with this. Like
Right.
we can't just keep go
Well,
using
right. But like,
Mortis engine to go back and do this and this and this.
right. But we didn't
But
understand.
Doom did it.
Right. Right.
Doom doesn't
Exactly.
want to
Like
be alone.
and we don't even know really what the repercussions are of it because it could be not good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For the larger universe. But I don't know. That was something I literally just thought of was like I remember them talking about like the history of of the 6160 universe and how there are points in it where they can't like they've tried to enter but they aren't able to and it's
Right.
unchangeable. So
Hmm.
like the fact that they can alter the timeline here, does that if they make the altered timeline stick, you know what I mean? Does that mean does that mean that now there is potential to change the hard times? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I don't know. It's interesting concepts. There's just a lot of shit in this, like in the whole universe, the way that it's like layers on itself.
Yeah, and I feel like this is the most like Doom we see Doom get. Like he's talking and acting
Yes.
more like Doom in this issue. Like
Yeah,
where
he's yeah, base. I mean, yeah, literally.
like he is literally like
Like, I saved your lives, like, like
I did the hard
you
thing.
used to be kissing my feet. I don't like, damn, bro.
Yeah, dude. Like I'm like, whoa. And then he's like, what about Project 4? And then you see
Yeah,
like,
and then Tony just wastes no time. He's like, what about Project 4? And he's all like, he's like, whatever, man.
yeah. And it's like it I get it, but it's also like maybe Doom should have said something, sure, but it's also like,
He did also save you, like
yeah,
all of you. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Yes, Tony now has to live with the Immortus engine in his chest, but also you could just be dead. That's the alternative.
Right. It's the messed up part where Tony's like, were you trying to cover your tracks that you did this? That's
Right.
the shady part. Where
Yeah,
it's
and then Doom
like,
has to like reassure everybody.
yeah.
And then yeah. I don't know how much longer they're gonna be like cordial with each other. Like at what point do you see the fallout between them?
I don't I don't. Just mainly because like the way Tony acts with
Do you think their relationship is like maybe about to hit like a really, really big low point, but we see like Tony become Kang like in like the proper timeline of this universe, and it kind of
probably.
not that well, like and here's the thing is you look at Kang and Doom in main universe, they have a pretty good rivalry. But
Yeah.
and in this universe, if you're doing the same thing, if you're kind of mirroring some of these characters, who better than to put at odds with Doom than Kang? Especially if you're playing up time travel and all of these like big time travel concepts and like there's just like I think there's a lot there.
I think so too. And I mean, we are like, I don't know. I feel like Tony is the only one that could get breakthrough to him. So like
Right.
I feel like that's gonna continue to be the thing where it's like, yeah, they're gonna continuously get into it, but it's kind of just like how it ended up here where he's like, okay, I trust you. Like,
Yeah,
like
because
he
and I
explains
think part of
himself.
it, they really just wanted to talk about it. Like that's air out all the dirty laundry, so that way they could just get it
Yeah.
off.
And then right after that, Tony's like, okay, fine. Like, I trust you. You're fine. And then Doom's like even shocked, like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like it's gonna be more of that, like where it's like this Tony's a little more younger, a little more naive. And I feel like that throws Doom off. And he's always just like, okay.
Right, because because for Doom, like he the only Stark he knew was Howard. That was the
Right.
only Iron Man he really knew. And then it was, this shiny
But
new
Howard was
Iron
way more
Man.
of like a no bullshit type.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like he has this newer, shinier version of it that's kind of like he's a bit more arrogant, you know.
Mhm.
So it's an adjustment for him, especially because of all the trauma he's had to deal with too.
Right.
And you compile these things where like he might they don't really understand each other on like a pretty fundamental level. So you've got this big, huge difference between the two of them compiled with all of the stuff that he's had to deal with, and he doesn't want to lose another team of people.
Right.
So he's trying so hard to prevent it. But I think, and it circles back to the Guardians issue where they, Star, not was it Star Lord? Yeah, it is a Star Lord.
Hmm.
The talks about how like it's either Tony or it's going to be Doom that leads them to destruction, or it's going to save them.
Right. It says somebody like destroys trillions of lives or something like that.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that page.
And I was like, what?
Yeah, it says one of you will be responsible for untold suffering and the death of trillions, and the other could save everything.
Right.
So it's like when you hear that from like the kind of like the leader of the Guardians, and they're telling you all this stuff about the timeline and how you can't change this point, but you can change that point, but you can travel through here and you can't travel through there. And this guy tells you that one of you is going to be like damning trillions of people, or you're going to save them. Like those are pretty high stakes.
Yeah.
Again, especially for these two,
Right.
because
Especially for Doom, whose like biggest trauma is like losing four people. So to
right,
find out that he's like causing the death of trillions, I can imagine is like,
right, exactly. And then that's not even looking at Tony because he does have to deal with the loss of his father and having to assume this role that he probably wasn't ready for. But the character dynamics, I think, in this, as opposed to like I like Jed McKay's Avengers, I do, but
yeah,
like it's shallow, it's more shallow compared to this kind of stuff because like it just feels like it feels like music, but like modern.
right.
You know what I mean? Like it just kind of feels like this, like kind of the similar, like the character relationships are similar to that era. The characters kind of act that way, even though they're modernized.
Hmm.
But for the most part, yeah, I this is like leagues and bounds, like further than that in terms of like character development and just like the way that they have all these characters interacting.
Yeah.
It's good shit, dude. And then the
Yeah.
last page reveal, of course. So like I don't remember when did they say it where it was a spy? Was it like the end of the first arc?
What? That
There
there
was
was a spy?
there was a spy amongst the Ultimates.
Yeah. It was after, I think it was issue
Okay.
7 or 8.
I think you're right.
And they kind of just like mentioned it and then
And then
like
swept under
left
the
it alone.
rug.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
left it alone.
And then
And
all
then
of a sudden they're
like,
like bams.
oh,
Yeah, and then we get the last page reveal here where the spy is Janet. And I'm like, damn it, dude. Damn it,
do
Janet.
you think she could be a double agent?
I thought about that. I think maybe. We'll just have to wait and see what happens though.
Because remember, this is like a Nick Cage that's like, what is he? He's like a, what is that called? He's
LMB.
like he's like a clone, like he's like a clone
Yeah,
robot.
like the LMBs.
Yeah, that exactly. He's one of those. So
Yeah.
we saw that in that Ultimate Universe special. So it's like
Yeah, I would imagine maybe they'll work together against the council and like kind of turn face back to the Ultimates.
it wouldn't surprise me if, because you know that it showed that like Nick Fury eventually went against them. So
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely.
I think that there's potential that those two will work together and she's double she, they're
Hope
both
so.
gonna be double
Yeah.
agenting.
No, that would be tight. What is next?
What do you want to talk about?
Uh,
We got New Gods, a Fantastic Four, Ultimate Spider-Man, or Power Fantasy.
let's hit let's hit New Gods.
Yeah. Dude, this was really cool. I actually really like this guest artist that showed up for a lot of this.
Yeah, I'm trying to find their name right now. You probably have it better than I do right there.
It's let me see. It is
Andrade or something?
yeah. It is. Damn it, where?
It's just itching, man. I'm about to sneeze, I swear.
I
Okay.
never know where the freaking. title pages are for the
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm just gonna we're gonna breeze through it.
for sure.
It so last issue, right? Light Ray died.
Yes.
Those like invaders came in, they just made quick work. Um, which is kind of what he wanted though. Like he had been talking about like dying like the whole issue and like wanting to know what it meant to die, like what your purpose was when like kind of like all of this stuff about death and what happens after and where you go and all like he was just questioning it.
Yeah.
And then so we
Because
find
for like when new gods die, it's like a concept. It's like a concept dies.
yeah,
It's
it's a conceptual death because it's not just like a regular mortal dying. Like
yeah.
these gods are so old that they represent like concepts of like strength or
Yeah.
power or like wisdom and all this kind of stuff. So or like light ray, for example, is like the power of like literally of light.
Hmm.
So when the concept of light dies, what happens
Right.
essentially? And it's cool because you see it from the other angle. Now, like the Black Racer has come to collect Light Ray, but he is familiar with him. He knows him, you know, as like a friend. So he does not really like out to get him. But he also is like so like he has a job to do. So he like shows him the afterlife, you know.
Hmm.
But it's like in the source, right? That's kind of what it appears to be.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then you've got like glimpses of all of the All Father, and then you've got like the whole war going on outside on New Genesis. Did I say All Father or High Father?
I think you said all father, but it is high father.
High Father, my bad. Whatever. So yeah, you the art with the Black Racer is just really cool, man.
Yeah,
Felipe
I love how
Andrade.
it like goes into like the dreamscape of like death and like
Yes.
the other
And I'm
side
pretty
of
sure
the
this
veil.
Felipe Andrade's artist. I'm pretty sure that this is the same guy that did Rare Flavors with Rom. It was like a boom book. It was like 5 or 6 issues.
Yeah.
I haven't read it, but I've heard it's really good. Um, yeah, this issue's pretty straightforward because it's really just about the Black Racer kind of leading Light Ray like to the end of it.
Hmm.
But he they go into this like area room, I don't know, where like darkness starts to consume them, you know.
Hmm.
But the power of Light Ray kind saves the day.
Right.
So the Black Racer makes his way. Oh, because that's like the whole thing too, is like Light Ray's like has all these questions and he like wants to know who's in charge and he wants to know who he can like who will give him the answers he's looking for. And it turns out it's just the source itself. So Black Racer's trying to take him there, and it kind of seems at this point where he like offers up Light Ray's essence and says like, "Well, here's your chance to find out what's on the other side, dude." It's like kind of like a metaphorical like
Yeah.
it's cool. I like it.
I like it a lot too.
Yeah.
But using Black Racer this way is a really cool idea.
Yes. Yeah. So because it's like it's sympathize because like in Jeff Johns when he did Justice League when he did Dark Side War and you have the Black Racer there
Yeah.
like I feel like he's just like he looks cool.
Yeah. And there's
You know
so
what I
much
mean?
you could do with him too.
Yeah, so like when you have him like he is like the ferryman of the dead, but he also like he's like of the gods, but he also knows them and he's personal with them and he wants to see them as
Right.
be the
Just
best god.
like Thanatos is with like all the other gods, you know?
Yeah,
Like
exactly. So it's cool stuff, man. This book is really good.
I love the end here where we do go back to Cagel's art and we see him draw some Superman here and
Yeah.
he pretty much just calls out Orion like I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt and assume you're really going to
Yeah.
kill a
And
child.
then in comes the escape pod with all of the like the High Father and all of the gods, all the new
Yeah.
gods. So that'll be interesting to see how they acclimate to Earth, but also if I wonder how long they'll be here, like on Earth. You know what I mean? Like how long are they how many issues it'll be, I guess what I'm trying to say.
I don't know, but I really want to see more of the Justice League drawn by Evan Cagle. So I
Yeah,
really,
dude, that would be sick to see like maybe some of the new gods team up with the Justice League over the next couple issues or so.
yeah, because I
But
love Evan Cagle's art, and I love I would just love to see his Justice League
it'd
because I
be
love the way they
sick.
look to here so far.
It'd
So
be sick.
yeah, his art is so good.
Next, fire up.
Uh, Power
Oh,
Fantasy,
you want to do
right?
Five Fantasy? How's it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Uh,
What how are you feeling about this, man? How you feeling about this whole series still trucking along?
it's just gas, dude, all the
Yeah,
way through.
yeah.
So several issues ago, um, it was revealed that Masumi was responsible for an event that like kind of caused a lot of problems,
Hmm.
and they make her forget about it because her when her emotions are out of control, her powers seem to spike, and it kind of creates this like monster,
Right.
and
It's like
you know,
kaiju.
yeah, we don't want that. So Etienne had been like continually using her girlfriend as a means to like kind of almost like gaslight her into thinking that she doesn't remember any of this.
Yeah.
And then Etienne makes the girlfriend forget that she ever like that ever happened. So it's just like like you almost want to root for him every issue, but then he makes every wrong choice and you're like, I don't root for you anymore. You're not this like ethics above everything else. Like you're making every unethical choice, and you're just claim like. And we were talking about this like first issue. Like, where's the downhill slope start? It seems like it was always downhill. Like he was never this, like grandstanding. I'm like gonna save people. Like he's always been manipulative, but he
Yeah.
comes from this like I'm so intelligent that you can't really argue it. But then Valentina knows him, and she's the only one that can challenge him.
Yep.
So they're just locked in this stalemate. But then it's the dynamics are kind of weird
Yeah.
because she doesn't really seem too bothered by the fact that he is this way. When you look at it, it's not, like he's really, really not a good person.
No. No, but
Um,
it's like but it's not about being good or bad. It's about being ethical.
right. I mean, yes, but also, but
Like,
like, yeah, just because he deems something ethical, you know what I mean?
yeah. He's basically always been playing God, but it's really cool to have Valentina there because she can question God with no
Yeah, right.
questions, basically. It's like,
And yeah, because the majority of this issue is kind of um Masumi's girlfriend like retelling the events of what happened.
hmm
And Masumi is like kind of having a moment, because she's like not entirely sure how to feel about all this. And it cuts back and forth between all of like the groups because you've got Heavy and his kid and then the reporter from issue one, and they're just chatting it away and talking about how like they're gonna try and reveal him as the next superpower.
hmm
So like, what does that mean? Because they're only six, and now that you have seven, what does that mean? Like, is there a power? Like, there's obviously some kind of shift in the power dynamics,
yeah,
and it's clearly in Heavy's favor, which is not good for Etienne.
no,
Uh, Bad news, dude. Like, this is gonna fall apart pretty fast,
yeah,
and I think it's already starting to because you have like there's talk, there's the talk with the pyramid, and there's like the general, and how they really need to start ramping up efforts and doing all this stuff. And so interesting twist here at the end.
yeah. I was about to say this last page was nuts.
So, and it's pretty like the this is probably like one of my favorite issues I think of this series
hmm
because the way that the last like few pages play out, or like even not even last page, like the last almost like the last half of the second half of the book, it plays out like a really, really like intense, like you like when you watch like a movie or you watch a TV show and you have those scenes that like kind of like oh shit, like what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
Yeah,
I remember like jumping back and forth between all of these groups. I'm like, oh shit, like I'm like all this stuff is happening at once. Like what's gonna go down?
yeah,
Because you have like Jackie Magus, who's been the leader of the pyramid for forever. He founded it. He's like he's like been contemplating contacting Eliza, so he finally makes that play and contacts her and she comes to the pyramid. But then you have Etienne and you have Valentina and they're off doing their whatever they're doing. But they're keeping track of them. So they noticed that balance or that Liza went into the pyramid and then was locked. But then you've got Etienne who picks up on Masumi and her girlfriend and the whole situation with that event.
Hmm.
And they're on high alert. And Etienne's like, we might have a problem, you guys. Like we have bigger things to worry about than just, you know, our
Right.
little petty squabbles because if she freaks out, it's game over.
Yeah, and it ends up not being a problem, and then she's like,
Right.
"You
It's a
didn't have faith, like you like score one for morality," and he's like, "Just because like a coin flips heads or tails, doesn't
yeah,
mean like this
right.
is just a this just landed on heads today. Like who knows? It'll be
Exactly.
tails. Like it wasn't. Like it's we still need a watcher. We
Yeah,
still
and like there's just like sometimes I feel like when I reread this, there's going to be a few things that are like that are going to be pretty subtle, like looking back, but it's everything is just so like tightly woven as far as the story goes. Like there's a lot to it. Like there's like a like pretty fair amount of like history here that we haven't really got a chance to get into yet. Um, there's just it's dense. The characters are good.
Yeah, dude.
Art's banging, dude.
Yeah, this art is so
Um,
good, dude. I love the colors too. The colors of this
I'm
book.
trying to. I almost don't want to even spoil the reveal. That's why I keep putting it off. But
Yeah.
it's really cool. But whatever. So last issue, we just we learn about Eliza's origin and how she got her powers and how she made this huge sacrifice to stop the queen.
Right.
Um, but before all that, we learned that she was a member of the pyramid cult, and her husband was too, and they kind of they had a falling out and they separated. And then Jackie Magus in present day in the pyramid decides to take off his mask, which is something he hasn't done in we don't know how long
Right.
because he's always had it on because Etienne wants to read his mind. Of course he does.
Mm.
But takes the helmet off and it is not Jackie Magus. It is Eliza's husband who we thought was dead in the last issue, which is a crazy ass reveal, dude.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's insane. I was
Because
like,
if
what?
he's been dead since 89, like that's crazy. So like I'm just curious, okay, because the next issue is the pyramid goes to hell. Does that mean they go to hell present like right now?
I imagine.
Or is that like something that has already happened and we're gonna finally get to see that too? Because like the way that I look at it now, like if you look at the present day stuff, it just seems to be like we're getting a development with one of these characters or a couple of these characters, and it's not really like moving the needle a whole lot. But what really, really moves a lot of the stuff in this book is all of like the history and all of the world building stuff that they've done, and we're getting to see that now. Like we got to see the second Summer of Love. We're kind of getting more glimpses of what happened with Masumi, or that's being talked about. You have the pyramid going to hell if it is in 89, like all of these events that have happened, we're going to finally get context to it. And I think it's the book structured that way because there's not really a whole lot to do with what's happening in present day other than just like letting them finally fight. But
Right.
you have to like kind of like reflect on all the stuff they've been through and why they don't want to fight because if they do, it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
So it's like a pretty it's pretty short, like smart, like structure
Hmm.
for a comic book because it relies a lot on the reader like enjoying the stuff that you don't. That's not really the main focus, I guess,
Yeah.
until 8 or 9 issues in. But then at what point do we stop telling those stories and circle back to the main plot of the now seventh superpower and them constantly being at odds and all of this tension and one of them popping off at any given moment and it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Not just like the backstory stuff and how we got here and all of, like the trauma, like the traumatizing things. Yeah, so like it's just there's a lot to it, man.
Yeah, dude.
Every issue is just like great.
Hmm.
I don't know how they've done it. Like
It's
I
one of
don't,
the only indie books I'm reading. I'm loving it. Loving every issue of it.
I don't even know that I have like any like major complaints about it.
No.
And that's the crazy part is like I can find like even Immortal Thor. I love Immortal Thor. I can find complaints about it, no problem.
Yeah.
Like this book is so damn good. It's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of love in this book. I'm loving it. It's great. Hey, I'm loving every cover too. Every cover is
Yeah.
just great, you know. It focuses on the character, like on that character that they're, you know, I feel like every issue has just kind of been a character study in a way, you know, on like pretty much every character. So it's been really great because now when you have all the context of everybody, you know, and they're finally going to get into it,
Yes.
have some weight. So
Yeah, and it's almost nice to see the covers reflect what happens inside the issues,
yeah,
even though they're kind of vague about it, you know?
yeah,
I like that.
me too. It's really cool. I don't know. I feel like Casper Wingard, like yeah, I'm gonna follow anything I see his name on from now on. So
He's he's a good artist, bro.
yeah. So
Uh, what do you want to read or what do you want to talk about next?
well, figure Ultimate Spider-Man because this was
Good.
a
Crazy issue, dude.
it's great. It's great. So okay, I mean we'll get to it, but pretty much in this issue, Harry shows up and he shows up to Uncle Ben, and Uncle Ben's just like, "Yo, like,
What the hell are you doing, man? I thought you were dead.
yeah, I thought, you know, I figured it'd be harder for you to get in, you know, I thought you were dead." So,
Right.
and basically, like,
Hmm.
you know, basically, Harry shows up to basically one to help Ben to calm down, like, you know, basically lay low.
Right. Like, hey, it's like, don't worry about it, basically.
Yeah, and like, and I just want to make sure Peter's okay. But
Right.
things are about to get serious, you know, so like please like lay low. And he's like, "You act like they haven't already been that way." And Harry says, compared to what's coming, they haven't.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're about to get a whole lot worse. But then it
Yeah,
comes to Gwen, like, who we now know has basically been running Oscorp this whole time anyway.
yeah.
So Robbie Robertson is in, and he's chatting with her, and they're just chatting away, having a good old time. And like Fisk and Wesley come in.
Yeah, dude, this was
But
like
what's interesting is Robbie reveals that he is part of the Mysterio group,
right.
and
He
then not
basically had the amulet for a week and now he's handing it off to her.
and
Or
not even minutes after that, when Wesley walks in and Fisk, like after this like macho show of like I'm in charge, Fisk.
Mhm.
Wesley reveals that he's also a Mysterio. So it's
Mhm.
like, how deep does this thing go?
Yeah, dude. Like Wesley,
But
yeah.
like when it's weird because like in this issue, I kind of like her. Like up until this point, I've just been like, she's just there. But
Uh,
like she's sinister, dude. Like she's crooked.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like even Harry's like put off by it. Like he's like,
Yes. But
"Who
like,
are you?"
well, you have the example with them like going and like busting up some crime,
Hmm.
and how like their ideologies differ. And she's like reckless and like like willing to bomb this stuff or like let the explosives go off when people could have been inside. But then before that, everything with Otto and Harry is good too.
Hmm.
It's really funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they mentioned like, you know, like Harry's like telling Otto basically like, you know, basically going like he needs a particle accelerator. So like basically Harry's like, we gotta lay low so we can only get
Yeah,
things you actually need. And then
you're
basically
gonna get it.
he's like, what about the other thing I asked you to do? And he's like, you know, he's talking about Peter's like house basically and the security
Yeah,
system. And basically, Harry says, "Don't mess with their stuff, Otto." And then you see dot dot dot. Seriously, don't steal anything.
yeah,
And I feel like he's definitely gonna steal something. Like you know, like I
yeah,
feel like Hickman
exactly.
wouldn't have that in there unless he's gonna steal something.
Yeah. I
So
what do you think his I guess long-term role in this book is?
I have no idea. I'm gonna
Like,
be
does he stay like sidekick scientist to Harry Osborn, or do we see like something else happen later?
I think he'll have, if anything, he's gonna get the arms, and the arms will be thinking for him. You
Like,
know,
yeah, I can see that.
because he's already pretty. He's not the most like morally sound person anyway.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So it's like I feel like I don't know. I feel like if he gets the arms, who knows? With Hickman, we never know. Who knows? Well, maybe he'll have 8 legs instead of arms or something.
Dude, could you imagine? So like that conversation between them ends, and then Harry puts on the helmet again,
Yeah,
and Norman just starts like berating him, dude. Like not
dude.
even a chance, just like giving him hell.
This is what I wanted to ask you here because it's giving him hell and it's talking a lot of stuff. Like you need to prove yourself once and for all. And all this berating and stuff happens.
Yeah.
But at the end of it all, he's able to say, "Shut up, Dad."
Right, which is like I think when we first kind of introduced to Harry and all we kind of we're kind of assuming that Norman is kind of the same in this universe that he is in 616, which he basically kind of he
It
is.
sounds like it.
You know what I mean? He's still pretty shitty to
Yeah.
Harry. So like it, I don't even remember what we had or what I had even said. Was it going to be? It was like the manipulation thing, like how he's going to manipulate Harry into like becoming a villain. Whereas like Harry seems pretty adamant about doing things the right way.
Yeah.
But how long? Like, does he crack? Does Gwen kind of influence him a little bit and that like appeases Norman or the Norman AI? Like, or does the it's a
Yeah.
slippery slope, dude. Like,
Yeah. But I don't know because Harry's been like keeping it cool. He's even been checking kind of like Gwen in a way, like
yeah,
Gwen, like,
yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. I mean, we shall
'cause it
see.
seems like this Harry's like pretty morally sound. I feel like Peter made him more of a morally sound.
Right, because they kind of made their bones together, like their first year
Yeah.
on the
So that's why I feel like him telling his dad shut up is like Hickman kind of telling us like what you thought was gonna happen might not happen because this Harry can.
yeah, and then like which the those last two pages are really, really great follow-up to that interaction, you know what I mean?
Mhm,
Because you've got Peter and his family back at the like the RV park in the canyon or whatever,
mhm.
and it's like the remote phone and it's Ben that's calling, but he hands the phone to someone else and it turned out to be Harry and Peter's like stunned,
Yeah,
believe it. But it's like this is kind of like Harry saying like, "Hey man, you need to come home because like we're gonna go to war."
yeah. But he
And
says,
so,
"Come home, Peter. I need you."
right.
Like going back a few pages, basically, Gwen as Mysterio doesn't defuse the bombs of after getting evacuating everybody out of a
Right,
building.
she just let him blow up.
And Harry's pissed. He's like, "What the hell? You were supposed to disable them."
Yeah,
Like,
he's not having it.
and he's like, people could have gotten hurt, people could have gotten killed. She's like, "Well, did you get everybody out?" And he's like, "Yes, I think so."
Yeah, that's not the
It's
point
like,
though.
but it's like that's what I'm saying. Like this Gwen will like she's kind of extreme. She'll go.
Yes, she really is, dude.
She's
I
kind of
like it though.
extreme.
It's a good subversion to like regular Gwen because she's so like sweet and mild
It
mannered.
is, but what's going to
Yeah.
happen when Peter's around this? And if Peter was around to see that, like he wouldn't.
Oh, I didn't think
So
about
what's
that.
going to happen when Peter's around Gwen doing this? Because of course Harry will tolerate it.
Yeah,
But what's going to happen? Peter
yeah,
ain't gonna. He's gonna be like, "What the?"
yeah. I every single issue, there's like some cool things that get answered or revealed, and then there's like a million other things that I'm just like, all right, cool. I don't know what's gonna happen, and I also
Yeah,
don't know where it's gonna go, and I don't know who is safe anymore
yeah. And
because
keep in mind, we still need to know. I think one more Mysterio isn't revealed yet because it's Robbie, Gwen, um,
Wesley.
Wesley, and then actual Mysterio.
Yeah, like that old guy at the
Yeah,
table, right? Shoot, I don't know who. I'll admit, maybe it's like a secret.
yeah. I feel like Hickman's
I
gonna.
wonder if they're going to hold on to it maybe for a minute. Maybe it'll be a pretty cool reveal.
Yeah, I think so. But
Dude, how many issues do you think we get out of this?
I hope Hickman stays on this, dude, for
Like at least 50. You know what I mean? Like give me that.
yeah. I want yeah, I feel like 50 is even too short. I feel like
No,
there's
I mean I agree with you, but like
I know, but it's
you know he could do like a pretty sick, tightly knitted 50 issue Spider-Man story.
he could for sure.
So I don't know, but I mean either way, it's a good ass book, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like I never thought I'd be reading Spider-Man consistently like this, but it's so good. I can't not do it.
I mean Hickman's I trust nobody but nobody better, you know.
Oh, do you? He's
Speaking of that, I can't wait to talk about Imperial next week. This whole new era.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so excited, dude.
Yeah.
They're Mortal Thor as well.
Yeah.
One issue left after this one.
Hmm.
God, dude.
Yeah, dude.
These
There's
books are just flying by.
it is. Dude, we're already in June, man. So it's
Oh, I know. I gotta look at solicitations for freaking September now.
yeah.
But I am. Sucks.
But for pretty much this week, we pretty much caught up with the last 2 weeks. Uh
Yeah, basically that was a lot of books. We had like 6 or 7 of them.
yeah.
Um,
So next week, we got I'm sure we'll talk Absolute Superman. We'll talk Imperial.
yeah, I mean,
Got a
Absolute
couple
Wonder Woman
books.
and Absolute Martian Manhunter were good. They weren't bad issues. They were just like pretty smaller scale issues, I would say.
And Miles is coming to the 6160.
That's right.
So, and
I
Absolute
guess.
Green Lantern.
Mhm.
So, but wait, you
Yeah.
wanted to talk about an indie book, didn't you?
Oh, I guess just Blade Forger a little bit more. So I talked about this the first issue. It's picked up quite a bit actually. So in the second issue, we got a little bit of backstory about Emperor Owada and his daughter Sakima, and like how he trained her and she got her Battle Kaiser, like which is kind of like her like in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like in Stardust Crusaders, and like when the stands get introduced.
Okay.
It's kind of like that. But the user transforms into this. They have their own sword and they have that's like empowered by magic, and they can transform into these battle kaisers, which are like their stands. And there's this forge that no fighter has ever been able to. So like, and by forge, they're like different area, like the regions in the land or in the world in this book like are centered around forges, and that's where like the blade forgers can go and get this power and summon their battle Kaiser and do all this stuff. So they're like the focal point of like the of this world, you know.
Mm.
Um, and there's a special one, and that we don't really know exactly what the power does yet. If anybody can defeat the Guardian, so nobody's been able to yet. So that last his second issue was about pretty much all about that, like his daughter trying to do it, him trying to do it. They could never do it. They weren't like it was just not happening.
Mm.
And then in this issue, he finally does it, and he stabs himself in the process. So like this is it's kind of like this ideology of like almost like you can't fight or you can't like push your way through it, and you can't like brute force your way through this. So like you have to kind of think outside the box, and it talks about like this sacrifice having to be made, and nobody's ever been able to make it. So he is giving it a shot. Turns out it works.
Mm.
So it gives him the magic or whatever. And yeah, it's kind of a crazy twist to see him like kill himself like halfway through the series.
Yeah.
Because he's like propped up as the main character, but then he leaves his daughter, who they've been like estranged for a while because she doesn't agree with him with the way that he's handled like the currency and the resources in the world. And now that he's been emperor for so long, because he's been emperor like his whole life, like
Mm.
60 plus years. Because so the way that the tournaments work, or like the way that like the hierarchy, I guess, like becoming emperor works, is every 5 years, somebody from each forge, they all fight in a tournament. Whoever wins the tournament is emperor for 5 years, and so on and so forth. He's just been winning every 5 years for so long.
Oh
But the
God.
problem is when he started, he made all these promises about how he's going to better the world and free all the people and free up the resources. When he's just been appeasing like basically this world's version of big business and all of like this, like the shareholders and all of this stuff. But it's like all people that are like making a profit off of this free resource, or what should be a free resource, but they're making money off of it.
Right.
So he didn't really fulfill these promises, and his daughter is ready to do that. So now that like she has to step into the role of emperor, it's not what she doesn't want to be emperor, but she's all about like actually making like progress for the kingdom,
Yeah.
for the empire. But it's like kind of sucks that it came at the cost of your dad, dude. Like
Yeah.
this old dude was so like I took it like up until the very last second to basically say, oh, maybe I can be any like I'm sure you could have thought about something else like 50 years sooner, man.
Yeah.
Like, but it just like it's kind of one of those things where it's like it speaks on it like, you know, even though she has to carry on this legacy, she doesn't have to like carry her dad's like mistakes
Right.
because
She's atoning for the sins of her father.
yes, because like even like I let me see, but I'm not gonna open it. But I'm pretty sure like when she's talking about like wanting to rebuild the empire and make everything free and make it available to everybody, like she's getting like enormous amounts of cheering. So it's like how does she walk that line now that she's in her dad's shoes too?
Right.
And there's only two issues left. So I'm like, damn, dude, like how are they gonna crack on this? And
Oh,
then
that's cool. So what issue was that one though?
three was missing.
Three? Okay. That's
And
cool.
and
Damn.
they and he killed yeah, the dad like did it halfway through the issue. So like he was only around for 2.5 issues, and we'll get 2.5 with his daughter as the lead. But it's
That's
interesting. It's cool. The Miranda brothers are good. They're a good duo, man, because they did We Live, and they've and Naki's done. He did some recently for DC. I can't remember what it was. Uh, Superman. He did Action Comics.
oh, okay.
I think it was the John Ridley one, like Major
Got you.
Disaster. He
Mhm.
did that. He's done some Godzilla stuff. He did some Vertigo stuff in the past. So it's like, and then it's his brother who does like some like the co-writing.
Right.
Uh, dude, it's a good ass book.
Damn.
It's a cool book.
That,
It'll
that
probably be
sounds
a good
like
trade
a
read.
dope anime. So
Yeah, and the art's really cool. It has a really like kind of like anime style art.
yeah.
So it would be a good trade read, I think, for sure.
Oh,
So
that's
I would recommend you checking it out too.
for sure.
It's tight.
Hell yeah.
Um, anything Batman rant you had?
No, and I do have, I mean, I could, but I'm not. This sucks. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, it was Superman, huh? Superman Unlimited.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go into this really quick. Literally, dude, 90% of this issue is just flashback. Basically, Superman gets hit by a giant meteor that's turns out it's kryptonite. I don't understand how like there's so much more kryptonite than I feel like there's Krypton now when like in all the lore.
That's just all Krypton is now. It's just kryptonite that's been scattered across the universe.
It's but this one's like it looks like a planet. Like it's like a giant like
Oh shit.
it's like a
Okay, get out of here,
you see
dude.
what I
Like
mean?
it's
Like
huge.
yeah.
Get out of here.
So like he gets hit by that, it puts him in like a coma, whatever. And like while he's in this like coma, like he's reliving his life, and this is Dan Slott just like recapping
Oh,
everything. We see Superboy, we see basically him getting hired, Lex, Brainiac, Doomsday, pretty much just everything. It's just a
kind of like your crash course to Superman, essentially.
yeah, dude. Yeah,
Ugh,
literally. And then
I hate that, but whatever.
and basically
Like, are those like is that part even any good?
what?
Like the recap, at least.
Yeah, I mean it's Raphael Albuquerque doing some really cool
All right, I
moments
guess.
of Superman. So
I
it's
guess.
that's pretty cool. But like basically Superman ends up waking up like 3 months later after getting hit by that thing, and basically Batman's like, we're look down, look at your X-ray with your telescopic vision right there between Corto Maltese. And basically, like, we find out that there's like this new country. That's where Superman was staying at in his coma, whatever. But while he was there, they realized that he has an effect from this kryptonite thing, and it buried you. You should have been poisoned, crushed, and atomized, but this is how you survive. And we have a gold
God.
Superman now. So now we have a
I
gold
just don't
Superman.
know what purpose this is supposed to serve, other than to like look what Superman can do now.
I guess he doesn't have a weakness to kryptonite anymore or something. I I don't know because that's
That's like
basically how
energy.
Batman says that this is how he survived that him getting hit by that meteor of kryptonite. Yeah. So Superman Unlimited. He is now unlimited.
They should just let him stay at Marvel, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Dan
keep doing what
Slott.
you're doing with Spider-Man, bro, because don't do it to Superman. You're gonna ruin it.
And it sucks too because like Dan Slott's actually part of like the Superman team now, so he's actually like a lot of his stuff's gonna be in Joshua Williamson's stuff. Like a
I
lot of
know.
stuff that happens gonna be referenced in that, and they're all working together. And
No. Gonna suck.
yeah, but literally, if you want a book that is 10% news story and 90% Raphael Albuquerque doing cool moments of Superman's life,
Flashback moments, yeah.
that's
If it's
basically.
worth that alone, I guess.
Yeah, I mean Albuquerque's pretty great. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, I was pretty annoyed by the time I got to the final page. I was like,
Oh
"What?"
yeah, I would be
There was
too.
like only like 5 pages of like new story here. Everything else was like stuff we already knew.
Right.
So that was pretty
Um,
annoying. So, and the fact that it's like, 4.99 for that,
right.
great, But yeah, I'll spare the Hush 2 rant because it's I don't have the energy,
We'll have to revisit it when it's done.
dude. Yeah, because
Curious to see what
I'm
you
not
think.
seeing anybody say anything good about it. Like everybody,
I don't hear any good talk about it.
there is no good,
None at all.
none. It's
That's
terrible.
crazy, bro.
It's terrible. And then in this
That's
issue,
absolutely
like,
crazy.
yeah, in this issue, like we have Jason Todd that he has been working with Hush, and now Hush has Damien,
We knew that, bro.
and
Like
now
this
Hush
is
has
not.
Damien.
Oh no, what are we gonna do?
Yeah. Oh,
Batman,
and
we gotta
and
stay in the good.
basically, since Batman saved Joker, this is how dumb this writing is. And Jeff Loeb never read anything. Basically, Hush sent Batman saving Joker to Jim Gordon, and Jim Gordon's pissed now because of the Killing Joke and everything like that. So he's pissed that Batman is saving Joker.
Dude, do you get tired of reading this stuff?
Yeah, yes. It's
Like
like,
I
dude,
don't like
like Jeff Loeb, like if you would have like literally like a year after your Hush comic, like things like this happened.
like I don't know, man. I just want to stay far away from that book. I'm okay.
And to be real with you, this is like the most half-assed Jim Lee art I've ever seen. Like it's like it's so half-assed. If you when this comes out and
It's
you just
Sinclair
like
and
flip
Williams,
through
dude. It's no Lee, just Sinclair Williams now. That's all it is.
it, pretty much it's and it sucks too because like I said, like Jim Lee runs the ship, so like editorial's not going to correct this book.
You're right. That's the only problem. He's the boss.
Yeah, that is always
Wait, the boss wants to write a book or he wants to
yeah.
draw a book. What are we gonna say? Nothing. Let him fucking draw it.
Yeah. So it's a shame.
Oh, that's too funny,
But
bro.
it's like it's like Jeff Loeb's doing things that I swear have been done 20 years ago. Like it's just
Because
repeat.
how are you doing?
Yeah. But that's how you could tell Jeff Loeb hasn't read anything. He hasn't read anything. Like like I said, this should be a Black Label book that takes place after Hush, and it's written like it came out 20 years ago. But
Dude, that means it's the perfect sequel.
absolutely awful. Do not recommend. I wouldn't say
What
that
what
the
what if the
Superman book
last
is awful.
issue is just such a banger and then you just forgive the rest of it? Or is that not possible?
I'm just following this to continue to see how bad this train wreck is going to be by the end of it. Because this, like this train wreck is going to be bad.
Yeah.
And this will be like a thing I could show people like, yo, like There's like you I feel like this is gonna go up there with like it's gonna go up there with like All-Star Batman and Robin, like it's gonna go up there with like those books. Dark Knight Strikes Again, Hush 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so it
uh, Poor Hattush.
yeah. I mean
Maybe
Jeff
maybe in like 50 years it'll be looked at back on fondly.
oh I doubt it, man. There's no saving this book, dude. It's bad. It's bad. And oh, do you want to know the most frustrating thing about it? Do you hear what they're doing with this? How the time schedule
No,
is for Hush 2? They're putting out
no.
the first half of it, the first six issues, and then we're getting the first six issues of Fractions run, and then we're getting the last six issues of Hush 2, and then it's going back to Fraction.
Can I just like save you the trouble and just like buy your off of you and burn them, bro? Because that's just like it sounds dramatic to even say that, but it's like it feels like it's like wasting money.
Dude, it's like what?
It feels like it's just wasting money at this point, man.
You know
Like,
how confusing that is for people to be like, oh, like
dude,
I think I'm gonna get Hush too. Now I got a Mad Fraction Batman, and now I got you know what I mean? Like
like how many issues was this supposed to be to begin with?
it's gonna be 12.
So six, six,
So
six.
we're getting six, and then six of Fractions run, and then the last six of
Well,
Hush two.
I just don't understand why. Like, whatever, man. I obviously don't make those decisions. It just seems dumb. Like to kind of like it seems dumb to up it to like interrupt a story halfway through to start your next story and then interrupt that six issues in to finish telling the previous story when you could just do the entire previous story and just be done with it.
Or just have another Batman book.
Yes. Oh yeah, like
Like have them both running at the same time. Like
ugh, I can't stand it.
it's insane, dude. It drives me up a wall. I
It's just
hate
like it's just like modern Big Two. Like it's
yeah.
just like they make a lot of weird decisions. So it doesn't I can't justify it, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
No idea.
But I'm
But
pretty much done.
yeah, I would love to I'm still would be down to do like things we like and things we dislike about like the comic book industry. Have we
Yeah,
done we haven't done that yet, have we?
not really, no.
We'll have to figure it out because they're like maybe we'll just ask each other questions like
Yeah.
think about like specific parts of the comic industry because they're I could go on a rant, brother.
Yeah, dude. We can make a whole episode just on that. Just
That's what
talk
I'm
about the
saying.
comic industry.
Well, we'll find the time to do that one.
For sure.
Yeah. Peace out, dudes. It's
But
hella late, and
yeah.
we're both probably trying to go to bed right now.
Yeah.
And we're out here recording this stuff, and I'm yawning, and we're yapping. And good night.
Stay healthy, y'all.